Isaiah chapter 53 verses 10 to 11. The Lord crushed him. He gives himself as an offering for sin, by bearing the guilt of others. The Lord was pleased to crush him in infirmity. If he gives his life as an offering for sin, he shall see his descendants in a long life, and the will of the Lord shall be accomplished through him. Because of his affliction, he shall see the light in fullness of days. Through his suffering, my servant shall justify many, and their guilt he shall bear. As we can see from this passage, it was the will of God the Father that his servant, Jesus, should suffer and die. In reading this passage, I think of Yom Kippur, the Jewish feast called the Day of Atonement. Jews fast, no work is done, because it is a time to atone for last year's sins. The high priest would enter the Holy of Holies, offer incense to God, as a symbol of the people's prayers rising up to heaven. When the high priest came out of the Holy of Holies, he would place his hands on the head of a goat. This symbolized the transference of the people's sins to the goat, who later became known as the scapegoat. The high priest was the mediator, the go-between, between God and man. In the New Testament we see Jesus, the high priest, go to his altar, the cross, become the perfect Passover lamb and scapegoat, who took on all the sins of mankind, not just for 1 year, but from the beginning to the end of time, when he offered up his suffering to the Father as the perfect mediator between God and man. Suffering can be redemptive, for the benefit of others. The word redemption is a legal word found in the Old Testament. It has two meanings, one is ransom and the other is recovery, or exchange. If a friend or relative is kidnapped, we are typically faced with a ransom demand, usually an amount of money to be exchanged for the safe return of the kidnapped person. The person who pays the ransom is then called the redeemer, the one who exchanged the thing of value, for the freedom of a slave or the kidnapped. Jesus exchanged his life for our salvation, thus, he is our Redeemer, who paid the price for our sins. In this reading we hear of the suffering servant, Jesus the Son of God, who gave his life to bring justification or forgiveness to others. Hebrews chapter 2 verse 9, but we do see Jesus crowned with glory and honor because he suffered death, he who for a little while was made lower than the angels, that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. We see this same concept in modern families. Children are born, and as they develop in search of themselves, they often become rebellious and disrespectful of their parents. These attitudinal changes bring suffering to the parents, to the teen themselves, and the family in general. A wise parent will maintain the family standards, pray for guidance to handle the matter, in a calm method of communication while showing their continuing love for the teen. Ask the teen questions about why they are so disrespectful while listening intently to their responses. A solution to the disrespectful and rebellious behavior will seem like it will never end, but it typically will. We often see redemptive suffering in the medical profession. The terminally ill patient knows they are living on borrowed time, they choose to do everything they can to extend their life. As a result of that effort, doctors learn much about their ailment and as a result help them and others live a longer, more productive life. In 1900 the average life expectancy was 47 years old, today it's 79. This 32-year gain in life expectancy is largely due to the redemptive suffering of patients, who went before us, and we became the beneficiaries of their suffering.